Hi there, I'm Sven from Axtran and I'm here to talk about the RG750 and RG725 from Ruggear. Let's take one. This is the 750 from Ruggear. Before we dive into it, let's see about the specifications of this device. Aha! I have to cheat a little bit by calling up the website, but it doesn't matter, so by doing this, not a lot of faults there. So let's start with the first thing that lights up is a mission critical push to talk. More about this later on, but this is one of the differences between a 750 and a 725. So let's go down a little bit and let's talk about some specs. It runs on Android 12. It has a 4-inch screen, 46 GB of internal memory with a 5000 milliamps battery, which is removable. Furthermore, it has the Qualcomm quad-core 2 GHz processor, which is the second big difference between a 750 and a 725. The 725 runs on another processor from MediaTek, which is a little bit slower. If we continue, it has 30 megapixel camera in the back, 5 in the front. It has a lot of the LTE bands, which is actually the thing that makes the damn radio connect really fast. Then it also has like these VI LTE, VO Wi-Fi and VO LTE support. According to my knowledge, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but according to my knowledge, this also supports the big switches between the different bands and between the different connection types, so you have more seamless connections. And furthermore, it has Bluetooth, of course, which is nice if you want to use Bluetooth headsets and stuff like that. For location, I think it has like every GPS system you can think of, but that's probably because the Google peoples want to know on which square inch of the planet you are. They always like to know this for some mysterious reasons. Let's not dive into that one. Anyway, it also has a lot of sensors. The G sensor and the gyroscope will make it work for lone workers protection or man-down systems, which is very important in our business as well. And it has an IP68 rating and a military standard of 810H. And some other certifications, blah 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 blah, which means it should be able to take a swim. I am not suggesting you should test this. I'm not going to test this, but it does handle rain very well. We drive motorcycles sometimes, and then the radio will be on our vest. And when we do this through rain, we can still use it. No problem. It's connected with the Bluetooth with my Cardo helm set. Works very great, and the radio doesn't drown. To have a little comparison, our previous radios were the Enrico S200s, and that one drowned. Anyway, let's go to the 725. Again, what's missing here is that it's reliable, but it doesn't have that mission critical PTT. More about this later. And as I said before, it doesn't have the strong processor. It runs on a MediaTek, which makes it a little bit slower. But the difference between the slow one and the fast one, I'll explain this to you in a while, and then you will see that it's actually not that big of a difference at all. For the rest, it has a little bit less memory, actually half less memory. On 32 gigabytes, it has a little bit less working memory. But again, I'll come back to that later on in this review. Now, I'll be making a lot of comparisons to the S200 of Enrico, because that was the other radio I was using before I got to know this one. Anyway, let's start with the 750. The outside. First of all, for the basics, for the people who have no idea what this is all about, or are just saw like, oh, that's a nice device, but what can it actually do? A little bit basic about POC, or PTT over cellular, which means push to talk over cell phone networks, or walkie-talkies over cell phone networks, or like I like to call it, walkie phones. The big difference between a walkie-talkie you can buy in the supermarket or grocery, Walmart or whatever, those are real radio devices, which means they go antenna to antenna. There's no service behind it, and they're limited like 1 mile, 2 mile, especially in Europe where the legislation is very strict on it. I think in the USA you can reach more distance, but whatever. It's really dependent on conditions like is the wind good? No cows in the way? You got the point. With walkie phones, you'll be able to talk all over the planet as long it has data connection over a SIM card, whatever, or Wi-Fi, and you will be able to walkie-talkie with your friends as much as you like. Now, we are using it in a professional way, but for the people who like to buy this as civilians, no problem. You could do this. Anyway, the outside. The main difference between a PTT phone, a walkie phone, or a normal phone is on hardware side, it has more buttons. We like buttons. It has the dial knob, and that's one of the big difference also with the S200. S200 has only a volume knob, but doesn't have the dial knob. And the dial knob is used to change the channel, as you will hear if I switch it.
T-Rex only 2. T-Rex open. Axtron 2. Axtron private. DPS 2. Axtron private.
So I can change my channels by flicking this switch around, and that's one of the great advantages of the Ruggear, which makes my life way more easy than with the S200 to switch from channel. Then it has also the Mayday or SOS button on top of it. When you press this one, all bells and jingles go off at your administrators or whoever needs to receive them, and they will try to figure out if you're still alive or need help or whatever. And it has, of course, the PTT button, this gray one, to have some communication possibilities and to press it and talk. As you've noticed, I've pressed the button and the connection was really fast, and that's another thing about Ruggear. They are really fast and have very great connections. So more on that one later. So those are the 3 buttons you will not find on a normal phone like a Samsung or an iPhone. Now, one of the things I was wondering when I got this for the first time was, I know I'm going to have to program this in my software. The software I'm using is Walkie Fleet, by the way, and I have to program this. I need to get codes and shit and shizzle, and I need to watch out what I'm saying, whatever, to make it work. But actually, it wasn't. Again, about Walkie Fleet, I'm using Walkie Fleet, but you have like Cello, you have Real PTT, and you have a lot of bunch of other of others. Now we are using Walkie Fleet for the main reason we are a company. We rent out radios like this and services. So Walkie Fleet is one of the only ones where you can buy the license. Like Cello, you need to pay a monthly fee or a yearly fee per radio and stuff like that. With Walkie Fleet, you start up your own server and you buy the license only once, and then you can start renting out your own radios and licenses and stuff. It requires it requires some IT knowledge, but if you want to check that one out, check out walkiefleet.com and contact Eugene over there, and he will help you with everything you need to start your own radio business. Anyway, for those who doesn't want to spend thousands of euros on servers and startup licenses and things like that, you can use like Cello for free, Real PTT. There are a lot of them. Go check them out. Now I'll put on the screen, and then you will see this is Walkie Fleet, of course, and you will see some users online. I'm going to try to connect with one because it's a security company that's online at this moment. Because at this moment it's like 3:46 a.m. But I'll try to connect with one of the colleagues over there. Alex, Sven-V, hoor je me? Dum. Have to change to his channel.
DPS2.
Here we go.
Zeg die Sven.
Ja, nog eens een radio testen, nieuwe radio's aan testen.
Ça komt goed binnen.
Jo, merci, goeie shift. So, as you could hear, the sound was very nice. It was very clear, although we are miles apart at this moment. But again, it runs over the cell phone towers, so distance is really not an issue at this point. you saw me using the touchscreen to talk with my colleague, and that was because I was not on the same channel as he is. If he's on the same channel, I can just use the PTT button, of course. Now, this is one of the great features also of the RG725 and a 750. It doesn't really respond to the normal smartphone buttons like the home button and stuff. It doesn't really respond to them. The volume buttons, camera button, it stays off. It does respond to the PTT, the emergency, and a channel, but it keeps the screen off. And that's one of the big advantages of these phones, bulky phones, whatever. The screen remains off. Also, when receiving a call from someone else, the screen stays off. You can imagine if you're, especially when you are using something like a headset and the things in your pocket or whatever, and the screen lights up and the touchscreen activates. The touchscreen could react to your leg or to whatever it's touching it, and that could lead up to embarrassing moments, maybe while you're driving, singing your best tune, and you accidentally are transmitting. So I like the fact that the screen doesn't come on from by itself, and you really need to activate it. So that's a very good one. Kudos for Ruggear for this. Next to this, on the outside, we also have this little cap. Behind this is the 13-pin port for external mics, headsets, and stuff like that. It's the Motorola Connection M6 it uses. So those accessories are compatible with Ruggear, and you can also buy from Ruggear their own mics and things like that. So very nice addition to this radio, which you won't find on an iPhone or a Samsung. Then the charger port, it uses USB-C. It's here behind this latch. Now, I'm not a fan of using cables to charge a walkie phone or a walkie-talkie. I like the cradles, the desktop chargers, so I recommend buy them. And the reason for this is, after a while, this will get wear and tear, but this is a critical point to keep it waterproof. So the less this moves, the better it is for the waterproof condition of the phone. So it's quite the charging port is behind this. If it runs full with water, don't need to be Einstein to know what could happen when it runs full of water. So I prefer to keep this closed and just use the desktop charger to put it in. Now, are there any downsides on the radio? Yes, there are. Some it's a little bit nitpicking, but there are. First of all, the Mayday button and the PTT button, they both have a very soft touch. You don't need to use a lot of force to activate them. Which means if you grab the phone out of the cradle, because you always want to, you need to take it somehow, your fingers are going to touch the PTT button and you're going to transmit. Okay, it's not a big disaster, but every time you do it, and if you have like 20 people doing this, you're gonna have a lot of during the day. So I wish this button would be a little bit more robust. You need more force to actually activate it. So maybe for the next one, guys at Ruggear, make it a little bit more. The Mayday button or the SS button is located on top of the device. It's a little bit capsuled inside, this little dent here inside, but still, and it actually brings me to the belt clip, because the belt clip, I'm going to show you. If you want to put it in the belt clip, you have to do it like this, and then you need to click it. And you can see on top, that's where, yeah, you can see if I need to remove it, I need to push this latch a little bit to the back to reconnect it, and you can see my fingers are very close to the SOS button, the Mayday button, so you will hit them, especially in the beginning when you're not used to it, you will hit this button a couple times with this. And also when you have to take it out, you need to pull it, and you can see my fingers are again, I'm already touching it, are again near the PTT button. And again, you need to be trained. You need to get used to this. But it could be solved if they make this button a little bit harder to push. For maybe like Walkie Fleet Eugene, if you're watching this, maybe you could make an option in the software that you need to push like 2 or 3 times the SOS button before it actually sends an SOS, and that will solve this problem by accidentally hitting it once and already sending out a mayday by changing it in the software. So that would be a very, very nice addition to it. For the rest, about the other things on this phone, it also comes with a flashlight, and it's a flashlight. Enrico's S200 also has the flashlight. It's more a flash for the camera on the back, but it's actually, you can use it as a flashlight. You're not going to light up an entire zip code, but it's like there are 4 LEDs inside of it. They're quite powerful, and they will do the job fine. So that's also a great benefit of this one compared to the S200 of Enrico. I'm sorry, Enrico, I like your radios, I had them for a while, but someone made a better one. Shit happens. So brings again, I'm touching the button. It brings me back to the clamp. First of all, when I received it, I said, oh, very rugged phone, very strong because it feels solid, it has some weight behind it. You can easily use it to defend yourself if necessary. If you have like the little screwdriver with you, you can take out the battery and throw 2 things at someone's head that can kill them. Joke, of course. But it feels really rugged, really strong. It's also a rug phone, of course, and it's quality. You can feel its quality. And then they sent me this. The first time I took it out of the box, and I was thinking, they made a very strong phone, and then they made this little piece of hard plastic that will break when I give it a bad look. But it didn't. I was wrong. It's actually very strong. You can flex it really hard, you can twist it, and I'm quite using force already. Of course I can break it, it's breakable. But the thing I don't like about it is the clamp. The clamp is the spring in the clamp is way too weak. There should be a stronger clamp beside it. But it does have this little latch. The little latch makes your belt fall behind it, which is very nice because that makes sure it doesn't go run off. It was on my motorcycle driving like 80 miles an hour, no problem, it stayed on. And also you can turn it in like any angle you prefer to have it on your belt, on your vest or whatever. Now, because of this clamp, I asked the people at Ruggear why not implement a ClickFast. ClickFast is a system that's been used by law enforcement and emergency services almost worldwide, but especially in Belgium and in the UK it's used a lot. You can, if you watch like highway motor cops or whatever from the UK, you will see they all have those vests with those little patches on their shoulders, and that's where those ClickFast radios click in, like from Sepura or Hytera. They have special adapters for their radios that works with that ClickFast system. It's not a civilian thing, but almost every emergency service in I think in Europe and the USA are using that ClickFast system. So Ruggear is actually at this moment in conversation with the people of ClickFast to make one of their own, and that would be very nice for the professional clients in emergency service, so they don't need to change all of their vests and stuff, and they can use this, and that would be nice. So they're thinking about it, would be a great addition to it. So this is what I can say about the outside of the 750, and I can talk also about the outside of the 725, but they're exactly the same. They have the same dial, they have the same SOS, but everything is the same. There's only one difference on the outside: the PTT button is orange. That's how you can spot them, the difference between them. But that's it. On the outside, there's no difference besides that one. So that also means that all the accessories can be used on both radios. The batteries can be used on both radios. So why should you buy a 750 instead of a 725? As I mentioned before, the 725 has a slower processor. The slower processor makes the thing really, really much slower than a 750. But again, it is faster than the S200 from Irigo. But what does this mean? For normal use of the PTT system, when you are going to talk and whatever, and use it as the walkie phone, as it's meant to be, there is no difference in speed. It will connect the same way at the same speed. It will do everything you want to. We're also testing this at the moment with a security company where two apps need to run. One for the security rounds. Those people they need to take checkpoints to prove they were there and they make their reports on their phones, and they run both the walkie fleet software and the other software. They work both fine on a 725 without delays or slowing down or whatever. But you do see that it's slower the moment you're going to start to install apps and stuff like that. So the 750 has more power on its processor, so you can use it also as your normal phone. If you are going to buy one of these for personal use and you want also to be able to check on Facebook and YouTube and all those things you better don't do when you're at work, then take the 750, because the 725 it would be too much for that processor and that kind of memory. I don't recommend to use a walkie phone to do that. But anyway, you could do it with a 750, not with the 725. And then the other big difference was that mission critical PTT. Now, what is mission critical PTT? I had to look it up myself before I saw the 750 because I had no idea. But it all comes down to one simple thing. When emergency services have like a big disaster, we had one in Belgium a couple of years ago in Brussels, the terrorist attack on Brussels airport. At that point, the cell phone towers were overloaded with everyone who wanted to talk to their friends, family, and try to connect. And they actually crashed and shut it down. In almost entire of Belgium, the networks failed because of everyone was starting to come online and do stuff. Now, mission critical PTT, mission critical means that a part of the bands will be preserved for priority communications, and therefore you need to have that MCPTT function. Now, in the practical world, I haven't found any articles or things that prove that it's already implemented in like Europe or in the USA. It's something that's the idea is launched in 2013, so 10 years ago by now. But at this point, I didn't find anything about its actual use of it. So, is it really something you need? No, because except when you're a fire brigade or emergency service, when you have like special SIM cards in Belgium, they could have special SIM cards that prioritizes the radios on the cell phone towers. Then maybe that band will be used, maybe in the future. I have no idea if it's now. Did I notice any difference between the two when it comes to communication and speed? No, absolutely not. So the 725 is exactly the same as a 750 from a civilian point of view, if you are using it for the purpose it was meant to be, and that's push-to-talk communications and professional communications between your colleagues and company. The moment you start using it for other things like Facebook and things like that, I suggest you take the 750. And those are actually the big differences between the two of them. So this was my review of those both devices. You can get them, I think, like anywhere at the moment. Ruggear has them in stock for people from Belgium and Holland. If you want one, you can contact me at info@axtran.be or info@rentradio.be, or check our website rentradio.be, and you can check that out over there and maybe buy one from me, but you don't have to. Anyway, I'm not supported by Ruggear for this review whatsoever. If this radio would be shit, I would told you it was shit, but it isn't. It's a good one. So maybe see you next time, and don't forget, these are walkie phones. They're not for Facebook.